Will Donald Trump use the military to bust former Mesa County, Colorado clerk Tina Peters out of Colorado prison, where she's serving a 9-year prison sentence for interfering with the election and being downright defiant about it? I don't know, but a close friend of Donald Trump and one of his lawyers, Peter Ticketon, Donald Trump and he were in the military academy in high school together. He said it on Steve Bannon's show. What's going on? Donald Trump is frustrated that he can't give a pardon to Tina Peters, who's a icon of the conspiracy, MAGA election conspiracy movement. And since he can't get her out of jail with a federal pardon like the other 77 people he recently did for election interference, he's stomping up and down like a toddler again. He's threatening Colorado. He's claiming the Department of Justice is going to open up an investigation. Look, a Colorado jury convicted her of several counts of felony interference with a civil servant's honest service, trying to interfere with the Secretary of State and other election officials, and stealing election information using a stolen identity of a software engineer and leaking it to a MAGA conspiracy theorist by the name of Ron Watkins. So, but let's follow up here, because when I hear Donald Trump and one of his proxies talk about using the military to break her out of prison, I feel like I'm watching an old Western movie from like the 1940s. What are we watching here? I'm Michael Popok. You're watching Legal AF, and this is Black Friday. I thought it's a good way to kick it off here. Thanks for being with us. You may remember Tina Peters, and if you don't, I'll show you a video in a minute. She was the Mesa County, Colorado election clerk. And she had that job for a number of years. She ran for re-election and she lost. She ran after this whole thing went down to become the Secretary of State and run all the elections for Colorado. People of Colorado said, no, we like our Secretaries of States not to be indicted for felonies related to elections. Now, Tina Peters went on the run, went on the lam at one point. Couldn't find her. Nobody could find her while the investigation was going on and while they had a warrant out for her arrest. She went on the lam, ended up siding with Mike Lindell, pillow guy. In fact, here's a clip so you remember who she is in and around the time. Here's a clip of Tina Peters.
What do you think the chances are that you and or Donald Trump are in prison a year or two from now?
Well, I'll tell you, if I thought I was going to prison, I would probably be on the beach somewhere, but, relaxing. It's just like with Donald Trump's indictment. My indictment has nothing to do with the facts.
Now, one of the reasons she got sentenced to 9 years is because the judge handling the case said that she was completely defiant. She never showed any contrition. She always believed her bullshit related to the conspiracies. And that's one of the reasons he sentenced her to 9 years. In fact, he called her a charlatan. Here's a clip of the actual sentencing that was done, that was televised of her being sentenced. Let's run the clip.
You are no hero. You abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen.
Now, my ears perked up when just recently Peter Ticketon, who's Donald Trump's sort of nutty lawyer of choice. He used to use Rudy Giuliani for this, but now Peter Ticketon is the new Rudy Giuliani. He's a Florida lawyer, middling career, nothing spectacular. Donald Trump used him for a couple of things here and there in Florida before he landed on another guy named Alejandro Brito to do all of his defamation cases. But he uses Ticketon here and there for things. And he certainly is close to Donald Trump. They were literally roomies at a military academy when they were kids. And Peter Ticketon goes on Steve Bannon's show, and he says President Trump should break Tina Peters out of jail using the U.S. military. Let's play the clip.
The Bureau of Prisons in the federal system do prisoner transfers between state and federal every day, right? Is a normal course of business. You're trying to do one here because Alex Jones is breaking, everybody's breaking. It's all these, hang on, but it's not just that, is that the machines have been questioned in the Philippines. The machines are questioned now in Venezuela. You've got the company used to control the machines, have sold themselves to another guy, says, hey, we're going to shut them down. You've got the Democrat Crockett, I think, Jasmine Crockett is in Texas saying you can't use the machines anymore. The machines are now, and I'm not a machine guy. We're a mail-in ballot guy. However, everybody's talking about the machines and the corruption machines. You're asking for a standard federal prison transfer because of this bigger case. And they're telling you there, go pound sand. When anybody else they'd work with, okay, you got a state prisoner, it's going to be in a federal witness, we'll do it. They have so much staked on not just Tina Peters being in prison and serving 9 years, but Tina Peters dying in prison. This is what they want. And you know it as better as anybody because you're working it every day. So what incentive does anybody have?
It's so stupid for them to want that, and yet they do. I mean,
why is it stupid? No. Why is it stupid? They want it. They want to put Trump in prison. They tried to assassinate. But Peter, on their side, it galvanizes it just as much, as not more. These people are deranged. They're sitting there with a 71-year-old woman who's a gold star mother. It's like the Vestal Virgins in Rome. It's the highest you can have in our society, to have your son killed in action in defense of their country. And they don't care. They just put her in solitary confinement when she's sick because some teacher went off on her in front of a bunch of prisoners, which would be unacceptable in any federal prison. He'd be turfed out immediately. She wouldn't be put in solitary. He would be put up on charges. These people are psychos. You have a psycho governor who's deranged in Polis. You have a secretary of state whose crimes are manifold, and yet nobody can touch him and nobody's going to go after him. The Justice Department has to go in there and put these people on trial. They have to take the secretary of state. This is why we need action, action, action. They're never going to turn over Tina Peters. This is now a cause celeb on the left to hold her and to make sure she's miserable, she's tortured, and she dies in prison, sir.
Maybe we need to do what Eisenhower did in Mississippi. Maybe that's the answer. But I will tell you, sometimes I live in this world. What was that? So many of these people.
Be specific. Be specific. When you said Eisenhower in Mississippi, what are you talking about?
Well, there was a point in time where Governor Wallace in Mississippi was not allowing black students, pupils, to go into the white schools. And Wallace national. Are you calling? Hang on. Are you calling for the 80? I think in Arkansas against the governor there, he's sending the 101st Airborne. Are you saying that you believe the president should call out the 101st Airborne? They should go to her prison in Colorado and say, "Hey, boys, the pros from Dover are here, back off. We're taking Tina Peters and we're going to take her today," because this audience would 1,000,000% back you, back the Justice Department, back the Secretary of War, back the President of the United States if we did that tomorrow morning. And that's the type of thing it's going to take. Well, these are my thoughts. Look, the president has a lot of things to think about and a lot of things he needs to weigh. Just at the verge of while he's going to be going into Venezuela or while he's talking peace in China, whatever he's doing, there's, it's not that easy to necessarily do that. But do I think that it should be done for who I am? Yeah, I'd love to see that happen.
Now, those are good things. Now, the most recent update to the story is that the federal government, through its Department of Justice, which runs the Bureau of Prisons, have now made a formal demand on the Colorado state prison system, asking for her to be transferred to federal prison. Oh, here we go. We're going to get the Ghislaine Maxwell Beverly Hills suite for Tina Peters. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's overcrowding. Oh, she had a medical condition. We released her. No, she is under the custody of Colorado's prison system, under the custody and control of a state judge who you saw just sentenced her, and her conditions of release are set by state law, not by federal law. So no, she's not going to be able to go over the comfy confines and maybe be the bunkmate of Ghislaine Maxwell in Texas somewhere. She's going to stay right in Pueblo, Colorado, where she belongs, serving out her sentence. And Donald Trump can't do a darn thing about it, short of a military breakout, which, I mean, we know Donald Trump is crazy, and we know he's losing it. But I don't think he's going to do that. But look what we're watching and what the American people are finally wise to, which is that Donald Trump is completely out of energy, out of gas, out of his gourd, out of his mind. I mean, he recently said about his health condition when he attacked the New York Times, who wrote a whole article about him being fatigued and about nobody saying anything about it, and that he's aging in place, so to speak, in the White House, and that he puts a lid on his day very, very early, starts his day at 12, ends his day at 4 or 5 o'clock. He got very perturbed about that. And then he let it slip that he had a cognitive test recently and an MRI. Everybody latched onto the MRI. Forget the MRI. In a social media post, he said he had a cognitive test. What's the are we back to the camera, TV, cup? Remember that? Remember that testimony that he gave to the American people when he was running for office? You know, it was a dementia test. He thought it was a IQ test. Let's play the clip of that again.
It was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions. And then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. And that's not an easy question. In other words, they ask it to you, they give you 5 names and you have to repeat them, and that's okay. If you repeat them out of order, it's okay, but you know, it's not as good. But then when you go back about 20, 25 minutes later and they say, go back to that question, they don't tell you this, go back to that question and repeat them. Can you do it? And you go, person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
So he got another one at 79, almost 80 years old? Why? How many times? He has no, I mean, there should be, but there's no requirement that he get a mental test. So somebody in his inner circle, maybe in his cabinet, and certainly his medical professionals, thought it was a good time to put him through the paces for another mental test, another cognitive test. American people see it. We see him stumbling out of Marine One. We see him barely being able to put a sentence together. We see his frustration and the cursing and the attacks on women. You know, so my late mother had frontal lobe dementia. I watched it over the 10 years from when she was diagnosed until she passed away in May. There are telltale signs for somebody that's in the throes of dementia, and cursing up a blue streak, being nasty, nastier than usual, going after whoever in his mind before he was demented he saw as an enemy, like women. I mean, it's not a full display, don't you think? So we're going to continue to follow whether Donald Trump is going to have the military. And if the military is going to follow his orders to break Tina Peters out of prison. Now, aren't we back to the don't give up the ship video from last week? Now you know why Senator Mark Kelly and others got from the military and from the intelligence community, who were elected officials, got together and made that video to warn and to basically advise the military not to follow illegal, unconstitutional orders of the commander-in-chief. Let's play that. That's how we got here. I'm glad you're here. We're going to break that 1 million subscriber barrier with your help. So just hit the subscribe button. We're going to do it, I think, before Christmas and Hanukkah. We're at, over 970,000 right now. Check to see if you are a subscriber. It's free, no outside investors, but it is the way for us to have the street credibility we need as we go into 2026 to continue to be there for you. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.